What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dojo. We are joined with Kasey and Nothmar. A lot of action over the course of the last 2 weeks. A lot of announcements. I think depending on where you are in your VV journey, you will you'll kind of enjoy certain news more than others. Okay, so I think got an echo. Well,
I mean, as an
Kasey,
echo. There we go.
Kasey, just leave.
It's Kasey. I think you have to shut his other.
Okay. So here's what I'll do. I'll just sort of keep it moving until Kasey comes back. The things that we are seeing now in VV, I am very optimistic and bullish over. However, Nothmar, I need you to reel me in to sort of give me some clarity here, just in your opinions and your perspectives too, because it's good to get you to bring us down to earth. Before we get to that news, let's talk about the drops over the course of the last few days and the last 2 weeks. So we saw let's talk collectibles first, okay? Kasey, where's your head at on the collectibles? Was there a collectible that you loved, and was there a collectible that you were a little let down over?
So I got disconnected, so I just reconnected, and so we're talking about just collectibles of the recent week.
Correct.
Okay, so honestly, so a really good catch-22, I guess. So I'm actually really happy with the ultra rare Mr. Fantastic, and so I'm a huge fan of Fantastic Four in general. I know this isn't like the first appearance. I know it's not whatever, but I like the way that he looks. And there's a very limited low edition of ultra rare Mr. Fantastic Four, and I think it's just kind of, I think we're in a different state, which we'll get into down the road of our show today. But I think we're in a weird place. But I'm actually very excited that it stayed at $50. It's staying at mint, an ultra rare that's a newer drop in the market. I'm very happy with continuing to stack and buy more at this price for an ultra rare Mr. Fantastic. That's probably my favorite buy right now.
Yeah, that's a great point that I did not consider. I think a pessimist could look at this and say, well, see, the market is doing poorly because the ultra rare is at drop price. Who cares? It's crap. An optimist would look at this and say, hey, man, this is a buying opportunity that you probably will not see in quite some time, so you may want to take advantage of that.
We're going to get there in this show today for sure. We're going to get to a lot of points.
Yes. Nothmar, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Fantastic. I mean, I didn't buy it. I mean, has to go a little bit lower for me to get one, but the potential there is there, right? Like I mean, Mr. Fantastic already showed up in the.
Let me ask you, how come, Nothmar? How come you would not? How come you are still think that it would go that much more below mint? I want to hear your perspective.
Well, because I'm a key collector, right? Even with physical comics, I do focus on like big first appearances. So it's the same thing with digital. I mean, I wouldn't invest unless I see a deal, and I mostly will put most of my money on the first appearance, which is the mighty, right? Which I have like around 25 pieces, right? So I mean, for here, if I get one of this will just be a personal collection type. So I don't want to overpay for personal collection types. I want to see it drop. That's for me though. For investors, for other people who invest, it's different. So that's just me as a personal collector.
Okay.
But I do say, just to finish that thought though, like, because the tidbit here is the popularity potential, because Mr. Fantastic showed up in the Multiverse of Madness as one of those what do you call this, from a different multiverse version, and Fantastic Four is potentially gonna come in the MCU. So this, I think, is one of their ways of trying to build excitement. So there might be some momentum to any Fantastic Four related collectible.
It is nice too, I guess. The more that I think about it, that it's just a rare and ultra rare, right? Like it's not spread across 5 collectibles. It's an easy, if you have everything else and you're looking for a set that you can sort of complete and
you can still buy one on the open market, which is what we're going to get into. I'm really excited about that concept, that there's still items that can be bought by the new user.
Right.
And that's a big deal that we'll talk about later. But I really like that there's only 2 rarities, like you were saying, Carmen. About
the mint is very low too. So if there is some demand in Fantastic Four stuff and people want this for their PC, I mean, you know, it's a low number, right?
How many was the first appearance? Do we know how many of the first appearances?
I have to check. I don't know. Let me check.
I think he was a common, and I think there were a ton.
I think there were
a ton. You're right.
Yeah. So there are 2,600.
2,600. Because I have 50 of them.
Nice. Of the UR. And
yeah,
then
rare. And they're all under 46, 47 too, which is crazy to me. UR at 2,600 mint, under $50. I feel like that is such a steal.
So I think this is going to be a better question for the later part of the show. Yeah. So we'll just
we're gonna talk about why too.
Yeah. Sure. So we'll talk about why in a little bit. So the other collectible that dropped was that Disney princess.
God, yes.
Again, you know what's weird is I think for me at this point, I like it. I think it looks really cool. I think they're super fun. The drop price wasn't crazy, right? The drop price was 40, which wasn't too bad. But I think for me, my only thing is I don't love them. And I'm at a point now in my collecting journey where like now if something new comes out, I'm going to only buy it if I absolutely loved it. Like the Silver Surfer, I loved and I like really bought into. The Disney princess stuff, I think it's super cool, but I'm not here for it unless, and this is again for the later part of the show, the potential utility that may come with some of this stuff. If we're looking 5 years down the road, what these things could get. We'll talk about MCP later in the show too. But that's kind of where my head's at on the Disney princess thing. Now the comics, we saw a decent amount of action.
I am very curious about you guys' perspective on this today.
With comics. So AF-15 had dropped on August 8th. August 11th, we saw Groot show up, which has kind of survived better than a lot of the other books. And I don't, and this is where it's fun for me to say this. I have no idea why. Groot as a comic book is winning over She-Hulk when they had the same number of mints. I believe it was 20K.
20K, yep.
Yeah, the same number of mints. And She-Hulk is just a more fun character from a comic book perspective. There's just way more. She's more significant. The only difference is that Groot book, that Tales to Astonish book, is so rare in physical form.
Yes.
That people are picking that up, which means that there is a correlation between the physical and the virtual. And I think it just really has to do with whether or not you can get your hands on these things. Because anybody who wants a Savage She-Hulk book can probably walk into any comic book store today and get a copy of Savage She-Hulk for
really
15, 20, 30 bucks. It's not super rare. It's not super expensive. If you want it in a 9.8, you're going to pay a ton of money.
It's easy to find it. Yep.
Yeah, but if you want it, it's pretty easy to get. That Groot book, if you know someone who has it, there's a great chance that if you touch it, it will turn to dust. Like, those books are just beat up.
I have not seen a physical Groot first appearance in the wild ever.
Really?
I've never seen one. But I've been only to Comic Cons and local LCSs. I've never.
Hold on. If Nothmar is saying some shit like that, hold on.
Rare.
Really? You've never
seen one.
It's a hard book, man. It's tough.
And I look around too. Like, dude, like the The Comic-Con, and they're how much are those like physical form? They're probably like 5K or something.
Oh,
right?
they're expensive for like a 3.5.
3.5.
The Tales to Astonish group.
Yep,
Right?
Tales to Astonish Groot right now in the market. Let's see how much.
145.
But the only thing that I would say though is like even if you do get one in physical form, I might question how hard it is to sell it because I mean I had a lot of the
Guardians?
well, even the Guardians. Like I had Gamora and it was impossible to sell. I broke even on those. I had the second print of that Groot and I broke even. I barely made a profit too. You know. So.
So going back, I understand why maybe this Tales to Astonish NFT is more expensive, but at the same time, Nothmar, I'm right there with you too, where I'm like, at the end of the day, there needs to be a ton of buyers.
There needs to be demand, correct?
There needs to be
That's
demand,
what we're
and I
gonna
just
get
don't
to.
know where the demand for this book actually is, unless you find a ton of people that love Groot. I just don't. I don't see it.
Oh, and another thing. So I've been to so many Comic-Cons. I've rarely seen. I might have seen one person wear a Groot shirt. I've never seen anybody wear a Groot shirt at all. So
Yeah.
So this goes. I want to point something funny out here. So I know nothing about comics. I just follow you guys. I actually have 10 secret rares of the Groot comic. So, and I did that because someone told me that Groot was like, oh my God, Groot's like the shit. And I'm like, well, I like Groot.
I like Groot when I saw the movie, right? I had fun. I thought it was
I like Groot. And so I also bought a bunch of the ultra rares that came out too. And I stacked those at like 33. And now they're back up to like 40 something right now. So Groot, I think Groot is a popular character. And don't mark if I'm wrong, but I was also told that this is a different Groot character than the Groot that we see in.
he's probably the kid Groot because like the older Groot got burned, right? In Guardians of the Galaxy, and then
Because someone's like, oh, that's not Groot. That's not Groot, bro. That's not Groot. I'm like,
yeah, it's definitely not the
looks like
same
Groot.
character.
Yeah, he got
So they are the
burned,
same
right? Yeah, he died. He died. I think he got burned in one of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then one of his like branches or seeds like survived, and that's
Okay.
Baby Groot. So that's a new.
Some dude was trying to punk me. He's like, oh, that's not the real Groot, bro. Like that's not the
It's
real
still,
Groot.
it's still Groot, though. I would still say it's still Groot, though.
It's definitely still Groot. It's just not the one that we know, like in the MCU.
The older Groot. It's a baby.
My thing about Groot is I'm just curious, and I think some of it has to do with the physical, it just being such a hard book to find in physical. And if there are comic collectors that are in the app that are like legit collectors, they might be thinking like, well, I can't find it anywhere. Like if I want a copy of this, it's kind of like AF-15. If I want one, the digital is probably the closest thing I can get to ownership. The Savage She-Hulk book, again, I said is everywhere. And that right now you can get on market for $380. So I don't see the it's hard for me to wrap my head around why Savage She-Hulk 1 is half the value of Groot, other than the fact that the Groot book's just harder to find.
Really?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Was She-Hulk a big character? Was that like a big thing, or?
Well, she has a TV show now, right? Right.
Yeah.
She's pretty, and it's getting good reviews. But even the physical comic is dropping hard right now. It used to be like higher, and now you can get them for it's dipping hard right now. You can get it. Everybody's dumping it right now. So
yeah. So it's kind of weird to see how the trends go, because if we're going by like fan favorite stuff, like people love Boba Fett, but the Boba Fett collectible isn't doing great, right? That you are. So it's fun. I was telling this to Nothmar earlier. I like the fact that I have no idea what's going on in some of these aspects, because I'm trying to crack the code for why some of these books are maintaining value and other books kind of aren't. And I think some of it has to do with the age of the books. Like Strange Tales 110, the comic on the app, has really maintained its position, like between.
That's actually one of the only comics that actually has maintained their position out of all the comics. And I'm talking about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One tin has literally sat at $1,000 at a secret rare this whole entire time. There's nothing, baby. Honestly, that's the one comic that has not changed. It has not like gone crazy.
Yeah.
It stayed right there.
And what's weird is like I don't know, is it because the book is hard to find? Is it because of the movie? Is it because Doctor Strange is cemented in the MCU? Like I feel like Marvel Spotlight 5 has more. I'm Nothmar. Would you say that there are more Ghost Rider fans than Doctor Strange fans?
That's a hard.
Ghost Rider fans?
Yeah, that's a hard thing to compare.
Really?
I think Ghost Rider fans are people love like ride or die Ghost Rider.
That is true because Ghost Rider looks cooler, right? Like the flaming skull. I mean, I've been looking for more statues, like a really cool one to add to my statue collection. So Ghost Rider, from a visual perspective, it looks cooler. But Strange Tales is the older book, right? It's the bigger grail, right? So
right. And speaking of older books, another book that sort of maintained its position is that Avengers 4.
Avengers 4.
It was as high as 13, but it's back down to like 9, and it kind of floats around 9. There's 30K mints of that. It hasn't dropped, below that $6.99. I've been waiting because in my brain I'm like, if it drops to $5, I'm buying 10 of them, right? Like that's kind of where my brain is.
I have like 20, but like I'm waiting for it to drop. Then I'll stack on that one. That's definitely on my radar.
Yeah, but it's not, which is just interesting. It just hasn't yet when so much else has. And maybe that's because Avengers 4 in physical form is a tough book. It's a hard book to get unless you're Nothmar and you got 7 of them. But wait, Nothmar, what's the grade on that?
I got 3.0 now. I sold my 1.0 and 1.8
nice.
the past 2 weeks, so I got a higher grade now.
So the crazy thing is like that book is like the group book in a high grade. It's going to be hard to find, and if you find it, it's going to be in a slab. It's not going to be you're not going to be like opening it up and reading it all the time because it's just so old that those books fall apart.
Oh yeah, that's what actually in my comic book group. Yeah, I've been posting some of these pictures from NFTs because nobody's seen them because nobody's opened them, right? So it's pretty cool. I'm able to do that and use it for content for my other groups.
It's pretty awesome. And then the last 2 comics that I just want to address are the ones that just dropped. Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars, Tales to Astonish. These are dropping quite literally in line with the She-Hulk television show. Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 3 was the first appearance of Titania. I think I'm saying it correctly. Titania. So she appeared in episode 1. We got that drop. Tales to Astonish 90 is the first appearance of Abomination. He appears in episode 2. We get this comic book right away.
I haven't seen episode 2 yet, but it's okay. I'll take it.
My bad, dude.
Those secret rares were cheap. I think I got a few of those for like $40, $35. I've never. So I'm a big secret rare buyer. It's no shocker, but like I have never bought a secret rare under $40 ever.
Yeah, and even if you
ever.
Just for the sake of, again, I said we would talk about later, but this is a kind of a pivot here. Even if you don't like the SRs, if you can get an SR for $40, that's a W because you're getting so many MCP.
MCP points. Don't forget the MCP. That's where we're going to get into later in the show. But yes, it's a big deal.
Well, we need to also cover from the comic book aspect, right? Like for me as a collector, like both of these guys, Abomination and Titania, they're like tier 3 or tier C or D characters.
Yeah.
That's why some of the Abomination, that's the older book, but we were talking about it in the chat the other day, right? Like I wouldn't pay big bucks for the physical high grade. I'd get one low grade for the PC, but I wouldn't pay a big bucks for a high grade. Same thing with Titania. I mean, she's cool. I like her. She was active in the Secret War series, but she's also a D level character. So, I mean, that's why. But again, like we've noticed that comic physical is different from the NFTs, right? We've seen some NFTs pop, so it's not necessarily mean that it's a dead comic. I think it might double or triple with if something happens and more demand comes in and they, Titania becomes a bigger character. So, but for me, I wouldn't pay for a physical copy, of that high grade.
Yeah, and that Secret Wars 3 is in my bro. I've gone to look at with my brother, who we buy and sell comics. We've probably gone to look at 5 collections in the last 2 months. I think every collection has had a copy of that Secret Wars 3. That book is everywhere.
Yeah, it used to be a common book, right, back in the
Yeah.
day. Yeah, so
It's pretty common. I will say too about that book, you can still buy it from the store. It has not sold out yet. Secret Wars 3 is still available for purchase. And this is probably the longest we've gone with a book in store, as far as I can recall. The Tales to Astonish book, I believe, has sold out. But the floor is $2.90, which, in my opinion, I'm actually surprised not lower. That makes sense for this character. I think the only thing saving it is the fact that there are only 20,000 mints, I believe.
I mean, the thing is, Abomination, even though he's not like a popular character, he's been on a lot of key Hulk battles, right?
Yeah.
So he's gonna get used a lot, like in the MCU, I'd imagine. I mean, he showed up also in the Doctor Strange movie too, right? So
No, he was in Shang-Chi.
Oh, Shang-Chi, sorry, Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
Right.
but
So
like I think all signs point to Thunderbolts for him. I believe.
Thunderbolts. Yep. So he'll be active. They might still use him when he appears, and then it pumps Kasey. You got some on the pump.
Yes. Now, all right. Here's now that we're done the review, the new question is, what do we see coming? Because I said this in the group chat, and this is not me being like I don't think I'm pumping VV. I'm just stating what I've seen over the last year and a half. So I started collecting at the very end of August. So this time last year, I'm almost 1 year in. And I'll tell you, the only thing that I didn't expect to happen was that crazy pump in January. Everything else, they did everything they said that they were going to do for the most part. The only thing that we didn't get was that I think they probably should have just not said anything. What they said was the 2 things that they should not have talked about, in my opinion, was how MCP would work and the renting of and utility of collectibles. I think they said that, and that was great, but then they had to deliver on that, and they never delivered on that. Not saying they should have, but I think their timelines were a little off, and if people are going to complain about those things, it takes away from all of the other stuff that they achieved, that they said that they were going to do, and they did, right? We got our cash out.
And just to kind of like real quick on that note, just remember that sometimes compliance, security, and finances across international borders are so tricky that sometimes things are like excited to like, hey, I'm gonna launch this right now, but like that's not the grand scheme of what the reality is. And so I think Vivi got excited when they started talking about the utility, not just the renting, but the Viviverse itself, the metaverses, and that whole thing. We're some ways out from that, and I think Vivi didn't realize that the legalities of that are some time away. So that's why they were probably excited about that. But that's the only thing that I do agree with you that they did say that they didn't come through on, because they didn't know the legalities of it behind the actual getting it done, right? Like even the cash out, like they were like, whoa, we're gonna cash out, like, and everyone's like, yo, wait, what? You're gonna cash out? No, you're not. There's no way you're gonna. Anyone that was like in business, international, was like, there's no way they're getting their international license to print money, and they did. So when they did that for me, whatever they tell me, I'll wait as long as they want, because they got that shit done. So yeah, it's crazy that they got that done.
Now, so since we're looking at these timelines, so we've gotten our cash out, we've gotten our AF-15 comic book drop, we've gotten lower mints. I think there was conversations about that. we are now in a world of one-of-ones and auctions, which people were talking about. You know, I remember when people were like, when is Star Wars coming? And we finally got Star Wars beyond golden moments, right? It seems like everybody's getting everything that they want. Next week, Amazing Spider-Man 300 drops. That comic book dropping is a big, big deal.
The Venom, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
That's the fact that these things are dropping is huge. The fact that artists like Scotty Young and Sarah Pichelli and Brian Steelfreeze are co-signing the app by doing one-of-ones and promoting that art online is a huge deal. Something else that I never thought of that I think someone mentioned in the group chat. I don't know if David, you said this or not. I think somebody said he said this, but who cares? It's a great idea. The concept of, if I'm an artist who draws digitally anyway, right? Like a lot of artists that I know use Procreate. So if you have all of these artists that are using an iPencil and they're drawing on their iPads now to create their art, and then they're sending it to Marvel or whoever, the question becomes like, well, what's authentic and what's not authentic, right? If you have the one-of-one NFT of art that was created digitally anyway, that sort of carries exactly the same weight as, you know, having the original artwork of one of these artists, right? Now, could you take a screenshot and say like, oh, well, I screenshotted it, so it's mine too? I guess you can if you're a dork. I guess you can do that, but no one who goes and buys a poster is like, oh, look, I have the original artwork too, blah, 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 blah. The original artwork still carries its value. There's a reason why I think a Peach Momoko cover just is being auctioned at like 5 or 10 grand right now, right? So I'm excited for these things. My question is, what do you guys want to see next? Like, what do we need to make you happy? Nothmar, I'm going to throw it to you. Is there something that's kind of you're waiting for?
Well, there's platform specific ones, and then there's the collector specific ones, right? Platform specific, I do want to be able to send NFTs to somebody else. So transferring NFTs, I need that functionality back, because it's definitely not cool that you can only sell it on the marketplace to give it to, hey, Carmen, I want to give you this book. I know you're a big She-Hulk fan. I got 20 of them. I'll give you one. We should be able to do that. It's our copy. So platform specific, I want to see NFT transfers back. Also being able to buy and sell it in like an open platform, which I doubt will happen, like OpenSea. That would be awesome, but I don't know if that's going to happen. From a collector point of view, I definitely want to see, more of some of my favorite comic books, the Giant X-Men, X-Men 1, Hulk 181. I want to see full storylines of World War Hulk, so I can read them all. Maybe the trade paperback version. I don't know, something so I can read them and I know it has value and I own it. But definitely some of these big keys, like the first appearance of Phoenix, first Punisher. I want to see those.
Oh wow! No.
But not just keys. I want to be also a collector and a reader. I want to read like not necessarily keys, but like full storylines that I can just read and have fun, that I own a digital copy of, right? So.
And it would also be nice if we could download those to our phones or to our locations, because if you're going to get ready to get on a plane and the plane doesn't have Wi-Fi or whatever, like it would be nice to have it on my phone so that I can read it. It's mine. I bought it. I should be able to read it offline.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah. Kasey, what about you?
Okay. I mean, I'm not really the comic. I love you guys so much. But when you get into comics, I'm like, what? So for me, honestly, the truth is I just listen to you guys when it comes to comics. Like I enjoy it, but as an investor, right? I know what kind of triggers people, and honestly, the things that really stand out to me when I was looking back when Carmen was talking about January, December, November of last year, right? Where the money was at. Like that was good times, right? When I take a look back at those times, I instantly, really genuinely think that everything that we've bought is so far beyond my even far-fetched dreams of comics, right? So, I stick with secret rares no matter what. And so I will say one of the craziest secret rares that I've kind of seen lately was, in fact, the Star Wars 1 comic and the Spider-Man 1 comic that you guys were kind of like really excited about when they first came out, when I first joined the group. And I got into those, and I've obviously DCA'd since then. And those two have been really, really big back burners. So like, it's weird to like, when you're kind of like flipping comics and you're seeing different like things kind of come to fruition of even the AF-15, right? I didn't know what to think about it because I don't know. So it's pure investment speculation. So like, as I'm looking at like Star Wars, Spider-Man, and now AF, there's so many different like things that come to my mind where I'm like, now I'm watching not the comic, but the actual volume, like how many people are buying, how many are not buying. So that's kind of how I gauge what I like and what I don't like. And when Groot was down low, and it was like, I think it was like, it got down to like what, 115, 120, and then I just stacked because I was like, man, these things are, it's I don't know any better, but I do know where they were at. So it's just an interesting dynamic because I don't know anything about comics. So I just listen to you guys and take you guys' best advice, and whenever Nothmar says buy, I just freaking buy. I
don't. So what, like, if we're looking at 6 months from now, let's just say, what do we want to see by the end of 2023? And I think that's an even better question. I think even from I like the idea of, I think we need transferring back. Like, for sure, we need transferring back. Yep. I think the OpenSea thing is interesting. I mean, I don't have an OpenSea account.
But
I probably need one.
But why do we need to transfer?
So here's the only. Go ahead.
You would benefit from it the most, Kasey, because imagine.
No, I just want to ignite the conversation. So I'm saying why.
Imagine like having a much bigger market, another big market like that's probably bigger or the same level as Vive. Like here, we're probably selling it to whatever 10,000 users, whatever, right? Or now you go to OpenSea, they have whatever 100,000, a million, I don't know. So you're just having a bigger market to buy and sell your NFTs. I think that's going to be, a game changer in my opinion. So
yeah, and again, I don't know how I'll speak from ignorance here as far as the technology works, but it's my understanding that if it goes to if it goes to OpenSea, then it can also go to cold storage, right?
It's technology wise, it's a different technology, so it's possible that it can also go to cold. I don't know how OpenSea works, right? So
and that's in my brain, I'm just thinking it needs to go to OpenSea. Just
but on the advocate side, can we imagine for 1 second? Can we imagine all these purely, brilliantly made and crafted IPs, like strictly exclusive licenses from Disney, from Marvel, on one platform and one platform only, and no one else can get it, no one else can touch it, and these are the only exclusive licenses from here on out forever on the platform, which is what I think they're trying to do. Yeah. Is it a monopoly? Maybe,
but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen though long term, Kasey, because Disney.
I agree. This is for conversation.
Yeah, Disney's strategy is all about spreading out as many IPs everywhere, right? Like if you go to any market, somebody's selling like Disney socks or like Star Wars socks or hats or whatever, right? So their goal is to sell their IPs to as many people who can sell them. So once more people are able to copy the VV technology, which is possible, there's gonna be more competition to sell it across different platforms.
And my thing is, literally the only reason why I wanted to go to OpenSea is so it can come off the internet if I want to take it off the internet. That's my only reason.
Okay.
In my brain is like, well, if OpenSea, then cold storage. And I'm hoping, like, I would really, really like to be able to take not all of my comics, but take some of my comics off app and put them in a tablet.
Can I also be honest with you guys? Can I be very transparent? Because I'm on the same page with you guys, but I also want you guys to understand something. I've been on every platform. I've been on OpenSea. I've been on, because with Zed, with my horses, all my horse racing. I've been on Wax. I've been on Nifty Gateway. I've been on every single platform. every single platform that allows transfers from platform to platform has been completely devalued in every way, shape, or form, period. End of story. So when they get transferred from place to place, it loses value every time it gets transferred from place to place. I think what Vivi is trying to do, and if they do it, they're not going to, but if they did, they want exclusivity with all these big IPs and protocols. And that means you can't go anywhere else unless Vivi to get these damn NFTs. And that creates massive value, in just my opinion.
Well, here's the one thing I would definitely be interested in doing. Like if they came out with their own reader for their NFT,
I'm going with it.
Like if they came out with their own exclusive reader,
I'm going with it.
It was like $100 or $200 where I could their own cold storage for their own. That's a whole other story. I would be interested.
That's where I'm going with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it's the same thing for physical comics, right? We sell comics in so many multiple platforms, eBay, Facebook, Mercari, whatnot, right? So there's so many platforms to sell comics. It's like it gives us more, depending on if you're a good seller on eBay or you like the show and whatnot, wherever you're good or you have a bigger market or better way of selling it, that's where it goes. What's the difference in OpenSea? Maybe a lot of indie artists are there, right? Or collectors or people who collect indies. Maybe that's why they're popular, and maybe you can sell more of that indie stuff there, right? Versus
imagine the notoriety of coming into Vivi and knowing that I'm going to have the only one-of-one Spider-Man picture that's ever going to be drawn out by this new artist or whatever it is, and it can't be transferred from any other platform. Why would you want to go to any other platform? I hope Vivi stays exclusive. I hope they stay with only them and only them only, and they don't transfer ever again for the rest of their history, because if they have their own Viviverse and their own non-transferable exclusivity with all these IPs and Pokemon's on board, see ya.
But what if somebody from OpenSea who is a rich guy with like millions of ETH wants to buy it, and he said, I can't do well, actually now you can, right? You can do ETH now in Vive now. Right?
Yeah.
Wait. Okay. What?
Yeah.
You can cryptos to you can buy are they working on that? I heard somebody said that they're working on some cryptos to gems now.
Yeah, that's coming. Trust me when I'm telling you right now, that's 100% coming within the next quarter. I'm telling you right now.
All right. So yes, I'm okay with Vivi exclusive. Vivi exclusive is fine if I can read my stuff offline and people who have crypto want to buy in.
Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you see how powerful this could be?
Well, the thing is, like Carmen, though, because like in physical comics, though, Kasey, we do have a lot of like shops now doing exclusive comics, and they actually don't maintain too much value, right? Because they're what do we call those, Carmen? I forgot now. Variants or
they're like exclusive store variants.
Store variants. They do not hold value, so that's the thing in physical world.
Because we're living in a digital world now, baby.
Could be.
Listen,
it's possible.
So okay, real quick, I do want to talk about the one thing that I
can't believe we're talking about this right now.
So one of the things, aside from transferring in the app, that we probably need sooner rather than later is probably a better social experience on app.
I want friends.
Yeah, I really would like.
Can you be my friend?
To create that community.
Leaderboards, friends, social media. Come on, man.
Yeah, I don't know why. I guess the answer is because they're worried about other things.
They're worried that you guys are gonna sell among each other. They won't get a cut anymore. Probably.
I think it would be easy to still maintain some sort of rip, right? Like if I'm gonna sell you if I'm going to transfer to you my Todd Bat, right? If I'm sending that to you and then you're going to Venmo me or send me money on PayPal, I would just make sure that there's a rip, like whatever the floor price of any item is, there's like a 10% rip on transfers. That seems like
as an investor. Also, from an investor standpoint, wouldn't you feel so much more safe if no one could ever do that? Sell off that?
Yeah, I mean, now that I can get my money out, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really bother me.
That's what I'm saying. Now that you can get your money out, now you want people to stop buying off app because you want them to buy from you.
But to Nothmar's defense, I would like to just be, if I want to give someone something.
Oh yeah, that's different. That's a completely different conversation.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. Like at the end of that too.
I think user to user transfers should be like on a friend of. They got to do something. I think what they did do was very smart with the auction, which they made you pay money to actually bid on the item to get rid of all the fake bidders, which there still was anyways. But like they have to find some contingency to make sure that is upheld as well. I do agree.
Yeah, like I said, I think and I use the Todd Batts as an example, but I just think if they were to take a 10% rip on transfers at the floor price, it would probably make sense. I don't see.
I don't know. Why would you want to give a commission to somebody where you did most of the work of finding a buyer, right? So I don't know.
I don't know. I just think
that's a lot. Yeah, that's a big rip.
That's a big rip.
10% is too big.
That's a big rip for
the only reason why I'm saying
because they already take out another 10% to cash out, and they already take fees and all the other transactions. So I mean, they're good. They're doing okay.
But the only reason why I'd say 10%, and it's just the number, but whatever, 5%, it doesn't matter. What I'm getting at is like you probably wouldn't be giving someone
there it is
a Todd.
I see what you're saying.
Unless you're selling it off app to them, number one.
And you're making a good profit because you're transferring it back offline. I like that a lot. And that way BB's still getting their money. That's actually good. That's a good point.
I just think you probably wouldn't be gifting a Todd. And if you want to gift, if you're gifting a comic, the value of the comic that you're gifting or the value of the object that you're gifting, I'm assuming is probably relatively low. So a 10% rip or a 5% rip on something that's low.
I don't know, dude. It's our NFTs. We bought it. We own it. We should be able to do whatever we want. I can give it away. I can sell it.
That is true too. That is the whole thing of NFTs. I totally agree.
So
I mean, at the end of the day, that's the tricky part. It's like, does VV become a monopoly? Do they control all the non-transfers? Do they control everything? Do they add fees? Or do they make it completely interoperable with every other platform? Like, what do they really do? That's a very good question, a very big debate.
I have no idea.
But they're probably more concerned about what happened before with the bots, right? Like having transferred between accounts. So they're probably more worried about that situation happening versus like me actually giving it to Carmen or you like an NFT, right? So
that's definitely not their concern for sure. Their concern was the bots. Absolutely.
So that's the other thing that I do consider, and this is the great debate, big government versus small government. I don't want to get into politics at all, but it's just the idea of, you accept all of these laws established by VV for the sake of some sort of protection and stability, because without them, it could potentially create chaos, and it opens up the door for all of this nastiness to happen. So by sort of accepting the laws and abiding by the laws set forth by VV, it makes the user experience arguably safe and better for everyone at large on the app. Do I agree? I'm not saying that that's actually happening, but I think that's the philosophy of the larger app control, for the same reason that like I'm a Mac guy. Like I'm an Apple person. I have Apple everything, mainly because everything's a little bit tighter on an Apple. And I like that. And I'm willing to pay more for it because I think it's the experience is better. That's where I'm at with all of this stuff as far as like off app, on app, transfers. But I mean, it's real talk. I would just love to be able to like message someone and have a message board and not have to go on. I don't like the fact that we have to go on Facebook to engage socially on the app, if that makes sense.
Well, they have Discord.
or Discord or wherever.
Unfortunately, Discord is the only other thing. I mean, I feel like Discord is the only way to go right now, because if I go to Facebook, it's not VV controlled. There's not a Facebook that's VV controlled, and that's really frustrating because admins have all the power, not VV. And sometimes the messages get displayed the wrong way, and so I feel like VV needs to take over control. They need to have an in-app system, social media system. It's very easy to do, by the way. They could have multiple different things. I do agree. I don't think there should be a message system yet. I feel like a message system has to come if you accept a friendship, right? If you add a friend and you accept a friend, then you can message each other. But like, yeah, we don't want to bombard all the higher investors or collectors with 1,000 messages trying to sell stuff every single day. I get that on Facebook alone already as it is. It's annoying. So I understand that that's what they want to stay away from. But the social, how do I put this? The number one way that will make Vivi succeed the fastest is the community. And if the community fails, then so will the app. We got to be better. The Vivi community has to be better. We have to be more positive. We have to be more forthcoming. We have to be very transparent with the newcomers that come in. And that's a big thing. And I feel like there's a big disconnect with some of the people that come into these Facebook groups that aren't Vivi operated. They need to shut this shit down, and they need to go back to their Discords. They need to go back to their Instagrams. They need to go back to whatever's actually working for them, or do it the whole community wants and create an in-game social media system. That's it.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't think they can like shut down Facebook, right? Because that's a different platform. So even if they wanted to, they can't. But I mean, I think
you know what I mean. I mean, like,
yeah, I know what you mean. But I'm just saying. But maybe like they're copying like eBay and Amazon, for example, right? They have the only way you can communicate is by message boards. I mean, eBay has messages, but they check their emails, right, to make sure people are not selling to each other.
Yeah.
They ban you if you share your contacts. So that's how tight they're trying to be, because they don't want people to sell directly and they lose a cut. So I think they're trying to copy that model. They don't want us to, connect and then sell to ourselves and they don't get a cut, right? So I think, but maybe a discussion board, or I guess Discord is what they gave us for us to communicate. And
it will help the in-app sales tremendously. I mean, it'll change the game so that people stop trying to sell things off app. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the social thing is what needs to. I think,
don't know, but it's tough, dude. You see what I'm saying, right? If they do that, they're probably gonna lose, I don't know, 30, 40, 50%. Everybody's just gonna avoid, hey, Carmen, let me sell you my Todd. You don't have to pay the 10%. I'll sell it to you directly, so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. I'm saying, like, I'm not saying we need to have transfers back and social. Like, how about let's just do social right now, navigate social, and then the transfer stuff can come later. I mean, I'm not, like, super eager to transfer a bunch of stuff to people. Like, that's not, at least for me, that's not priority number one. To make the VV experience better at large.
So you don't want to be able to like buy and sell your NFTs without the 10% rip that VV is charging you, and plus their cash out fees.
I mean, right now, I think if I had to pick for the overall health of the community and the app, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like I have, like I'm in, right? So I'm more interested in what's gonna make sure that this thing is here in 10 years. And I think really it's the social aspect of the app. The transfers can come, like if we don't get transfers for another 5 years, like I would be okay. Like it wouldn't kill me.
But Amazon and eBay do not have that social aspect, and they're doing really well, right? So is that really necessary for them?
I think so, because I don't think eBay, I think there is something inherently social about NFTs in general.
Oh yeah, big time.
The only reason why they can survive. The only reason why they survive is
that's why NFTs are NFTs, because the social aspect in the community.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, you've got nothing.
And that's kind of where my head's at with that. And then I think eBay wins. I mean, you're dealing with things that are being bought and sold that aren't NFTs, really, right? Like I just think in order for this system to work the way that it needs to work, the ecosystem needs to be protected, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, when you start opening things up, it just starts to get chaotic, right? Like there's a lot of stuff on eBay.
Which is why I'm always very sensitive about people that are still selling or buying gyms, because that's hurting the ecosystem. And I couldn't stand it. Like people would want to buy gyms. I'm like, dude, stop. Like stop buying gyms. Like it's so frustrating. And then people even after this were selling gyms for like 0.25, 0.45. Now it's all gone. Now it's all done now. But like when people were still desperately trying to get rid of the last bit of gyms, I'm like, just stop, man. This is crazy.
Yeah, I don't see it surviving unless
it's done now. It's over. No,
no, I mean the app. I'm saying I don't see the app surviving and the experience surviving unless they really hammer down the social,
yes,
so that people can interact. Whether that be, and I said this from the beginning, like whether that be me being able to share my vault experience on my other socials, I think that is necessary. I think we need to be able to create a group in Vivi and communicate in that group on Vivi. I think those things are probably, for the success of the app long term, priority number one for me. I think everything else, like, I mean, I'm trying to think about, consider that idea of the app survive.
The biggest feature that I want to see outside of MCP, outside of OUP, outside of all the big features, there's one feature that I want to see. It's the feature of making an offer and you accepting it. If I say, Carmen, I want to give you, not on the marketplace, but it's still secondary marketplace to be, because they'll still make their cut. But I say, Carmen, I want your AF, your comic for $575, and I'm going to send you an offer now. Click, and you say accept or decline. That changes everything.
I agreed. I think offer is a big. That would be a key feature. I think.
Changes everything. Then we don't need transfer. No more transfer ever. Now we can just buy and sell. That's it. Oh my God.
I guess the question would be, the question is like, can I just offer you something to buy for $2?
Yeah, yeah.
Hey Carmen, I see you have this listed for $9,000. Hey man, I don't have 9,000, but guess what? I'll give you 8,500, and you're gonna be like, yeah, cool.
No, but I mean, I'm talking about like if it's $1,000 collectible and I sell it to you for $1, and then off app you PayPal me.
Why would you do that? Why would you, if you're getting double fees, if you're getting VV fees and off app fees?
But the VV, you only pay $1 a fee, 10% of $1. That's 10 cents, right? And then off app, then you pay the $1,000. You save the $100 or $200 on fees if you do. Oh, that's
depends on where you're getting the money from and where you're sending the money from, right?
I like that.
You know what I mean? Or like I definitely can envision a world where I don't think Vivi is going to be able, like if I can make an offer or if I can transfer,
perfect, man, it would change everything.
But what I'm saying is eventually we're going to show up at like there are going to be conventions and I'm just going to bump in, like you're going to come up to my booth, and at my booth I'm going to have all of my collectibles listed, and then you're going to be able to pay me cash for the collectible, and then I can sell it to you for $1. You follow me?
I know, I'm with you. I just don't. I want to get to a place where that never happens in VV ever again.
I don't know. I mean, the only way you can make sure that doesn't happen is you don't have the offer, and you don't.
No, the offer is great, because then you're in app. You sell it, you cash out. You're good. You're done.
No, but I'm saying with the offer is gonna come those dollar sales unless you make some sort of threshold.
No, okay, I know what you're saying, but understand, like VV also, like trust me when I tell you this, like I know, but from a business standpoint, like I make sure that my merchant costs are as cheap as possible, and I would never make my consumer pay them. At some point, VV said they're going to do the same thing. They're going to make those fees not be 10%. As soon as Wire or these big, crypto guys or these big crypto merchants stop gouging people with fees, like if they can merge with Biconomy and then get with Biconomy and get gasless free charges, I mean that's a whole different conversation there too. So if they can just get to that point, they will, and I think they will. They won't keep charging us 10% on those fees. I think that will change at some point.
Yeah, that's the danger. If they do the transfers and people just sell off app, they're gonna be challenged to reduce their expenses to compete with people selling offline, right? So they have to
Which is
lower
a
it.
good thing.
Yep. So that might be another thing why they're still holding off on it. It's
Yes,
possible.
I agree. Agreed.
Now, we've got about 5 minutes left. We touched on MCP.
I can't believe how fast this goes.
We touched on what does that say? It takes more to transform it to paper than to distribute it digitally.
Correct. So that's the biggest thing too, is it takes a lot more to transform it to paper than just digitally. So when you're trying to get your paper out of your digital asset, that's the problem. I totally agree.
Right. Now, so we got 5 minutes left. We talked about MCP in the beginning. Kasey, what are your hopes for MCP? How do you see that rolling out? How do you see that working?
It's the biggest thing for Vidi, man. I mean, I mean, let's just understand here. So let's just go back to the ultra rare Mr. Fantastic, right? There's only 2,600. Guys. A rare and an ultra rare for a set. For a Mr. Fantastic set. Two items for one set. MCP is going to be focused around sets. Okay. So when you're looking at sets, you're looking, okay, that's that's a $15 rare and a $45 ultra rare for a full set that's going to give me 15 MCP points, right?
No, I think would it?
Yeah. The ultra rare and the rare. There's not a common, uncommon. So you're gonna get the double combined with the one set. So don't forget, they're gonna do double combinations without a full 5-tier set. So there's a lot of things that people don't know yet about the MCP that I don't want to get into all that. But let's talk straight MCP. If people are looking for sets, Carmen, let me ask you this.
Hold on. I need you to explain to me the Mr. Fantastic math.
Okay.
How does this work? So the rare is worth how many?
Hold on. I gotta go to my we don't have time for that.
The rare was worth 1?
1.5, I thought.
And then the ultra rare is worth 1. And then because you have the set, it's in a double. It doubles, so that's 4.
And then when you get multiple sets, right, for the only 2 you're getting it anyways. There's so much more math to it that I don't want to get into. But we're talking multiple set sales, multiple MCP set sales, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Bottom line is, before we run out of time, understand this one thing. Do you think right now that there's going to be more than 2,600 users looking for that additional set, for that small set? Now, this is just outside of Mr. Fantastic. We're talking all kinds of sets across the board. So any type of set for a secret rare, so look at all these Disney secret rare sets. I mean, oh my God, there's so much stuff.
So here's the thing that gets kind of weird with MCP right now. So let's just say I go into the market, I find a comic that Marvel Legacy 1 comic is essentially, I don't want to be negative, garbage. Like, it's really no reason to have that, but whatsoever. That comic, unless you're a collector and you want to collect everything. But like, as far as an investment, you probably only need one. It's never going to really blow up. But right now, you can pay $50 for it. And with $50, I think.
So right there, with $50, what is that $50 going to get you for that one comic on MCP? Nothing.
What'd you say?
For that one common comic, for that $50.
SR.
Oh, SR. So still, what's the SR cost?
50.
And so my point being, when you're seeing those SRs at that cheap, that's where you need to feel the need to stack.
Wait, you're missing my point. How many points is a SR comic worth?
5, right?
For some reason, I thought it was 7, but let's just say it's 5. If I can get 5 MCP for an SR comic, I could, if I was just concerned with MCP, eventually, in theory, I believe I could just bottom feed SRs that nobody wants that are so undervalued.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I was trying to compare with the UR with Mr. Fantastic. But yes, secret rares, ultra rares, stuff like that. So what I'm trying to really ultimately say is the set will be coveted. 2,600 people are going to be trying to get that set. when we have 1 million users trying to get that extra set to get their 100th set, they're going to look at little sets like the Mr. Fantastic set, and they're going to come right there and pay $50. Well, 2,600 is going to spread pretty thin over $50. I think that Mr. Fantastic Ultra Rare could go up to 200, $300. That's a 5-6x.
So you think that
just for MCP alone, we're missing the whole point of buying these items to achieve the MCP statistics. There's so much to this. There's so much more.
So here's what I'm gonna say. So in theory, the logic is to acquire the inexpensive sets, so that you can meet certain like set thresholds that then like move you to a different level.
Or buy multiples of these sets, like multiple Mr. Fantastic Rare and Ultra Rares that are $60. You're buying sets, full sets for $60. $60. You're getting full sets that you can sell down the road for thousands of dollars. For one rare, one ultra rare will cost you $65 right now. But when people are trying to get this set, in 1 year from now, when their sets are unattainable, they're going to pay $1,000 for that exclusive set.
So so the next thing that I'll say, what happens when they continue to release more and more sets and the values of the newer set, like the monetary cost of newer sets continues to go down?
Can I predict something right now?
Yes.
They will stop doing the low amount of scarce drops. The drops are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger like they used to. Do you remember back before last year, before November, December, when they were doing the Mighties, the mini Mighties, the numbers were massive. They were massive. There were so many items, so many collectibles, and then they started diminishing. And that's when everything shut the crazy shit up. Everything was nuts.
So you're saying, when you're saying, hold on, wait. So you're not saying, you're saying the number of collectibles. You're saying right now there's only 2 items in a set, but eventually there might be 7 items in a set.
Yes.
So it's going to be more difficult to collect sets because there's
criteria to have that set. So the value is going to go up for that set. So if you have a full set, people, oh man, I'll give you $1,000 for that set you paid $65 for because I want that set. And by that time, in a year or 2 from now, it's going to be back up to where it was, and those numbers are going to triple because, in my personal opinion, it's going to be about the MCP and the OUP. I really believe that so wholeheartedly. It's going to be a game changer.
What's OUP?
Well, we're getting to that different. We don't even have time for that.
We don't have any time. So here's what I'll say: we have no time left in the show. I'm going to make a promise.
Right after this. Kasey, what's going on, bro?
I'm making a promise on behalf of Kasey that our next show, he will explain OUP to us.
So it's coming. He actually announced it too. He said it's coming. He said it's coming in the video too. So it's coming.
I love this show. This is like the most fun I have every Sunday night. With that being said, thank you so much for hanging out in the dojo. Have a good night, everybody. I am Carmen. This is Kasey. That is Nothmar. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.